Welcome to VCR, Vintage Cinema Rewind, bringing old movies to new viewers. I'm Blake.
I'm Jason.
And Kelvin, congrats, you've made third share. We're kicking Michael out.
Wow. I'm the new Michael, baby.
Who was the new Jason? You're the new Jason.
I'm the second replacement, baby.
You haven't even seen any movies.
Oh man, this
This is
podcast is going downhill.
How down you had, or how deep you had to dig.
So we're talking De Lift, a movie from Kelvin and Jason's childhood here from 1983, which is really cool. We've already done the primer episode, so spoiler-free discussions already happened. Go check that episode out. We're just going to deep dive right into it. Where do you two want to start? Kelvin, anything you want to talk about in particular to start off with?
Let's start off with the concept. Because the concept itself is really cool. And I really like the fact that they thought about, okay, elevators are a part of your everyday life. That can be spooky. You're in this room where you have no control. You just trust that you press the button and it goes where you want it to. What if it doesn't?
It kind of like made me think a little bit about like the Final Destination movies, and it's like, let's take, a concept, and especially in this where it's like really focused on the elevator, and just like think of all the different ways that we can kill somebody with an elevator, essentially. Honestly, like, I do have a little bit of a gripe with like the execution, and honestly it comes down to budget, but I think that like there had to have been at least like two more creative ways to kill somebody with an elevator.
Yeah, there was a period where I was like, I need more deaths right now. This is getting too like, we're going to see the professor. Yeah.
I felt the exact same thing in like the second act, Jason, where it was just like, just give me like two more deaths. Just like not even, they don't have to be like high art. Like, I just want to see somebody die in this goddamn elevator right now.
Going from at the beginning where you think it's just like there's a power outage and like the building might have been struck by electricity. It's like very Frankenstein.
Yeah.
So that leaves you thinking like, oh, that it's just as simple as that. But then they do expand on it, and I do appreciate that they went to a place that is so relevant today where it comes to like AI, that they've actually like the computers behind this, but they've been testing this crazy biocomputer.
Yeah, what I really like about this movie and like other movies kind of similar to this is kind of like it gives you like little kernels of like, ooh, is it like lightning? Ooh, is it like AI? Like, when are the aliens gonna show up? Like, or is this like elevator possessed? Like, you don't really know what's going on for the bulk of the movie. And I like kind of almost being self-referential in the sense of like, we know that you're aware of all of these different things going on. Which is it going to be at the end of the day?
And then just to bring back the Dutch influence, I love how there was, of course, like a whole cheating element and like sexual partners element.
Like, there's titties like 5 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
I love how that draws you in, and then there's no more for the rest of the movie. Like, there's just like gratuitous nudity in like the first 5 minutes, and then we never get back into that.
There's implied nudity, but it doesn't actually come up later. Maybe.
Yeah.
It does, though. You should watch it.
That kept it fun and interesting. The friend of the wife, seeing him in the restaurant with another girl, the friend's reaction, like the guy, that was like another little comedic element. Like they sprinkled that in quite a bit, and it didn't detract from the plot that much, but it added to like why Felix was so kind of obsessive about his work. Like he didn't even care about anything else. He was just focused on his work, but everybody else is like, oh, he must be doing something.
See, and that's actually kind of my other gripe with the movie is I think that it does get like just too bogged down in those other details, like those plot elements, and like some of them come back and some of them don't. Like, like there's this whole like cheating element that's sprinkled in throughout, and I think that if you cut that, made it a little bit tighter, like honestly cut like 10 minutes out of this movie and just like kind of keep the focus on the elevator, I think that this movie is actually a stronger horror movie for it.
I don't think you would care enough about Felix.
I don't know. I still ended up caring about Felix, but the thing is like there's kind of this arc with Felix, right? That like there's this whole conspiracy and like everybody's kind of, working against Felix, kind of discovering the true nature of the lift, and to have his wife also leave him with the kids and like and there's no resolution to that whatsoever.
No, they're just like leaving. Like, oh, you're leaving? All right, well, I got an elevator to look at, so.
Yeah, yeah.
It just kind of leaves some weird unresolved things in this movie that I was just like, why did we need this? Like his work life is already unraveled as well, right? Like he's already essentially getting fired from his job, and people are thinking he's crazy. There's this like, he finds out that the previous like elevator maintenance guy went insane. So like,
Like
as a side
the
note,
elevator wasn't killing anybody before. He
Exactly.
just went insane for no
that's a good point too.
reason.
He just knows what it's capable of.
It talked to him or something.
It must have. And as a side note as well, like even when they introduced this, I was like, why is this necessary? But then they get there and he's like, the man, like the previous maintenance guy, has lost his mind and he has to sit in the middle of the room because he can't be near any walls. And I was like, well, that's kind of actually a sick little plot detail there.
Yeah, I liked
like,
that.
There was a spooky little element of like, this man can only sit in open spaces. And that's
That
what people
guy
with
looked so
claustrophobia must
Dutch.
feel.
Like he looked like he could have been your dad's brother or something.
I don't know. There is something with Dutch people. There's this specific look, and a lot of people think it's blue eyes, blonde hair, all of that. It's like no. It's like the bald head, but not fully bald, and a little chubby. And there's just like never a branded T-shirt, just always whatever's like on the budget rack at Value Village or the Dutch version of that.
Well, the Dutch are known for being Dutch, so...
We are Dutch. We are Dutch.
No, that's actually one thing that I did like about this movie is, like, I actually kind of checked that at one point, too. I was like, there are way less blonde people in this movie than I would have expected. Which is, it's kind of cool, like, getting to see foreign movies like that, right? Where you actually, like, get to spend a little time in the culture and, like, get to understand the people of this place and this time.
You know what would have been really funny if he actually had, like, a really big budget, but he's like, no, I can save on this.
Dutch filmmakers always come in under time and under budget, 100%. So we have like, I don't know, what, 4 kills in this movie? Like for each of you guys, what's your favorite elevator murder in this movie?
Favorite elevator?
What's your favorite kill?
My favorite kill, right? Yeah. Not
Yeah.
my favorite elevator.
No, your favorite elevator murder.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding the question. We're talking about murder, and then you're like, what's your favorite elevator?
I really liked the middle elevator.
I'm right-handed, so I like the right one best. But no, it was definitely the artistic decapitation. That was beautiful.
I very much agree. And I liked how the movie kind of like set the kill up, right? Because he's talking to like the one guy and he's like, oh, like your wedding's coming up. It's so soon. And I was like, well, I know who's getting killed in this scene, right?
Yeah.
And then they do the old switcheroo where it's actually the older guy who gets his head stuck in there. The other like little detail that I really like about how this scene is structured is the scene before that, the blind man falls down the elevator shaft, which it was kind of hilarious in my mind. Like that was definitely the funniest kill of the movie. After that, there's kind of like no mention of that. And I was like, did we just kind of pad over the fact that a blind man just fell through this elevator shaft?
Now missing for like days.
Yeah.
What was really cool is that the guy who's getting decapitated saw the blind man down there, and that's why his head was stuck in there. And then the elevator's like, perfect.
It was such like a good little touch, right? Because it just adds that element of horror where, like suddenly this guy knows that something is horribly wrong with his elevator and his head is stuck and there's nothing he can do about it. That's genuinely terrifying.
Yeah, I believe I remember watching that as a kid, and that's where we turned off the movie because I don't remember the rest of the movie, but like I think we got through the first boobies scene, and then we're
Probably
like,
paused it.
yeah, and we were like, okay, I think we can handle this. That wasn't too crazy, even though their deaths, like they didn't even die. I originally thought they died. But the way they looked was like so scary.
Yeah, I did find it interesting that they didn't kill off the first 4 people.
Yeah.
But they never showed up again either, or were never interviewed or anything. Like,
yeah.
You might as well just have killed them. Like
Maybe that's part of the conspiracy, and like everyone was like, "Oh no, they didn't die." But then, like, I thought I remember hearing the like doorman say like they did die, but then other people were like, "Oh, they nearly suffocated."
Yeah, they're in the hospital. I remember them saying that.
Yeah, so I don't know what's true. They did mess with your mind a little bit as an audience, I think.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of like, I mean, the conspiracy element of this movie, right? But there's a little bit of paranoia throughout this. Like, what is going on? Like, you the whole time you're just like, why is this elevator doing this?
And then, oh man, the little girl scene.
Yeah, where it was actually like playing with the girl, that
Yeah.
was eerie. That was like,
Yeah.
Well, and I love the setup of it too, of like, so this little girl is there with her 50-year-plus old mom, and she is hooking up with the man who owns this or is like managing this building, and she leaves her like little daughter in the like hotel lobby while they're smashing. Like the setup of this, like, you know, is just gold. Like I couldn't write that any better.
No
myself.
questions asked. I get it. Leave your kid there.
And was the doll decapitated before or after the other guy? Because the doll was basically it wasn't decapitated, but its head was squished. As an aside, I think my favorite death was the final one because the mad scientist shows up, shoots the brain of the elevator that we find out is like actually biological material, and then he's like, it was sick, and then the fucking cord from the what we thought was a dead elevator wraps around his neck and hangs him like that.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting it, how he was standing there, but at the same time, it was a decent little jump scare.
You could have had worse deaths at the end of the movie, or not even a death at all. Like, it is kind of hilarious though that this mad scientist guy just shows up at the right time to get killed as well, because there's no indication from him that Felix and the reporter are going to show up on that particular night and get rid of this elevator. But I really like the element of the fact that they had kind of like this, oh, in the end it's actually kind of this AI element to it, right? Like they explained it as chips because they weren't necessarily talking about AI as much at that time, I don't think, but really like it's, oh, we've made this chip that has this protein like biological element that can learn and grow. And it's kind of cool because it's like, I think this even predates like the Terminator series essentially. Like it's a little bit ahead of its time.
Yeah, like there aren't that many movies previous to this that used the same concept or like a similar concept. It's kind of in the technology gone wrong like subgenre.
Yeah.
And there are some like previous like robots that go wild, but that's like we've created robots and we're afraid of them. The fact that elevators now have computers, nobody like that hadn't been done, but then the computers getting smart on their own, I don't know if that had been done yet either. So like this is like pretty crazy coming from a non like traditionally genre specific movie industry like the Dutch.
What I absolutely love about it too is the fact that like for some reason the Rising Sun Corporation has decided that the way that they're going to test their like brand new AI self-learning model is by implanting it into an elevator.
Yeah.
Like if I could get an explanation from somebody as to like why the elevator was chosen to have like a biological thought process.
Yeah, just go up and down.
Yeah,
That's all you have to do.
It's like the last tool that needs that. That'll literally be the last thing that gets AI in it is elevators.
Yeah.
I think a toaster would have better AI in it than an elevator would.
Yeah, because everyone has preferences.
Yeah. It's just like one of those things where I was just like, wait a second. And also, like, there's a moment where the boss of the apartment is like, ooh, like, our plans are coming together and this is, like, going to go well. Like, we're just so close to executing on our plan. And that's never explained. I'm like, what is the thought process here? Like, what do you have to gain from this killer elevator?
Fun premise, not the best follow through.
No, but some
Fun
of that's
execution.
fun though. Like this is a low budget horror movie. I'm fun with just like this weird zany like elements just added throughout, you know?
Yeah, it's always fun to just like see this ridiculous stuff and talk about it after. So like I don't mind that it's in there.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're kind of just along for the ride like with something like this, right?
Yeah.
Wherever it takes you, up or down.
I also love how like there is the cheating element and like 2/3 of it I'm like this could all be cut, but I do love how like mom and dad fight at the dinner table just like in front of the two kids, and it's just like completely out of left base, and then he like she just like screams at him for cheating at him, and the kids are like look completely bewildered. And then he gets up, gets a phone call, and they're like, you must come see the elevator. And he's like, yes. And then doesn't resolve any, like, he doesn't even say to his wife, I need to leave. He just walks out.
Yeah. He's tired of her shit.
Yeah.
He was begging for an elevator to start killing people, so he had something interesting going on.
Now, I'm going to be honest, too, though. Like, his wife is definitely more attractive than the reporter, right? Like, we're all on the same page as this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's never a point in time where I'm like, yes, Felix, you're making the correct choice here.
He went down a floor. There's a lot of jokes to be had with this.
Oh, it's great. This is why you watch these kind of movies. These are the kind of movies...
levels of jokes, yeah.
Yeah. This is why these movies are so like fun to watch, is because you can like watch them with a friend and just like tear them apart as you're going through, right? Like, it's so entertaining to watch these kind of things together.
Kelvin, did you watch this with Day, or did you watch it alone?
Yeah, me and Day watched it together.
What did she think?
I really struggled to keep her focused on it, and I was like, listen, I have to watch this because I'm doing a podcast about it. And she's like, yeah, well, I'm not, so I'll watch it with you. But yeah.
Welcome to the podcast in our lives.
Yeah, I would say 1 in 3 movies are like a hit in our household, so...
Yeah. Mine's like 1 in 10. Until Evie's old enough and I could just start, I'm just going to start with 80s movies, I think, with her.
And Studio Ghibli for sure with you.
Oh, yeah.
I think the kind of one thing that I will say about this movie, that I do think it's really successful, is I think I found the third act, like, I actually ultimately cared about Felix's survival. Like, when he breaks into the apartment building and gets into the elevator, I'm like, don't go in, man. And then he goes into the shaft and I'm like, not the shaft.
And then he grabs the chair.
Yeah.
Like, just because he's
give him the chair.
Yeah. But then the elevator thinks that he went in, but it was the chair, so it crushes the chair. Like, I was like, oh yes, thank God you grabbed that chair now.
Yeah, it seems so bizarre that he grabs the chair, but I guess it's like maybe he was thinking to leave the elevator door open. That was my only guess.
I think he was using it to try and get up through
to get into the
and
shaft.
Then because then he lowers to get to the shaft and then gets on top of the compartment, and then But yeah, the way his like back was scratched up, not the best acting from him there, where he's like it wasn't that great.
But that was a weak point.
Yeah, but the concept, like, he knew where he could fit without getting murdered by this elevator that he knows is killing people. Like, he knows these elevators well because he's the technician. He knew where he could go and where he could be safe, while he still had to take the risk to try and get to the brain.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's just like old school, just a wrench, just him smacking on like the proteins.
Yeah. While it's like going up and down his back. I'm like, but the whole time I was just screaming at the TV, like, just get up, like, just pull yourself up a little bit and get away from that. Like, it's scratching your back and it hurts every time. It's not clearly making you bleed out or fall, so like it's not that bad, but just get up and then you can just.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah, we're not going to make excuses for the plot contrivances to this movie.
Yeah.
I have to ask you guys, like, so this movie ends with the mad scientist getting hung, and then we, like, hard roll to credits, and they just walk down the elevator. Like, what the hell happens the next day?
Walk down the stairs.
Yeah, they walk down the stairs. What the hell happens the next day? Like, are there cameras in this building? Do they just, like, show up and they find the mad scientist who's hung in the elevator, and, like, Felix and the reporter get arrested for murder? Like, you know, what's going on after the end of this movie?
I think that they would write the journalist story about it, but I don't know. Like, they could get got by the other people at the rising sun. Hey, at the end, did you guys hear the heartbeat?
No.
So apparently, I didn't hear it either, but on, like, doing some research after, there's a little bit of a heartbeat at the end. It might have been like at the end of the credits or something like that, but you hear a heartbeat, like the pulsing heart from the computer. It might still be alive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how effective hitting goo with a wrench is, so that's fair.
I mean, if you hit my goo with a wrench, I would probably be pretty hurt. I don't know.
Yeah, but you're not AI advanced machinery, so.
Yeah, I'm dumb. I know.
I do love, like, The Rising Sun is such a sick name for like an evil tech corporation.
Yeah.
And their base, like out in the
Hmm.
like the wasteland, does Holland even have an area like that? I feel like it's all beautiful there.
No, it's not all beautiful for sure. Yeah, it has
So
to be.
that's actually an interesting thing that I was doing some research on. Like, and I wonder if this is kind of like post like World War II like rebuilding, but like that was like a big area of Holland or the Netherlands that had just been like flattened, and they were just like building an entire city there at that time, which was kind of interesting.
wow.
That apartment building is actually still
Yeah.
there, and like they just kind of built everything up around it. So I don't know what kind of was going on at the time, but it sounds like it was a time where they were doing a lot of building in that area.
Okay, and just introduce elevators, so they wanted to scare the shit out of
That's right.
There was no lifts, and then
Yeah.
Dick Moss said, "Let there be lift."
Lift this shaft. The detective and his little lackey, his little they're like numbers on how many people get trapped in elevators every year. That can't be right. It was like
No.
250,000 a year in Holland, it seemed like.
Yeah, they didn't. I don't know that they specified where exactly, but I don't. What's the population of the Netherlands?
17.8 million.
You could fact check that.
Yeah,
Kelvin's accurate, 100%.
I got it all here. 17.88 million for sure.
So, like, I don't know, 250,000 a year. Have either of you guys been trapped in an elevator before?
I have actually.
For how long?
Maybe 30 minutes.
Did it try to cook you?
It didn't try to cook me. I already had watched this movie at the time, so I was like, okay, do I have enough air? But I saw there was like ventilation up top, and I was like, okay, I think we'll be all right. Called for help, and yeah, got off.
How was the sexual tension in the elevator?
Well, it was just me and myself, so it was pretty high. Finally, some alone time.
Sir, we can see you.
I started reenacting the first scene where they essentially like have a foursome because how hot it is.
That was the most ridiculous scene in this movie. I love how they started with that, right? Like
That's when my fiance was actually still watching, and she's like, "Are they just gonna have sex in front of the other two? Like, what's going on right now?" It's like, you see,
It's
I pick
Holland.
out the good movies.
It's the Netherlands.
you definitely picked one of the movies of all time to share the podcast with Jason.
You know what's funny too? Those four, like the two guys, like they were farmers.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what they said.
They won like some competition. It looked like they had like ribbons on, so that's why they were celebrating with just four people. I don't know.
I mean, the
Strange
Dutch
little-
farmer element does add up in Canada. That's
Yeah,
pretty much
yeah,
the only
definitely.
Dutch people that I know are farmers.
A
here.
lot of Dutch immigrants are farmers, yeah, and some bakers.
Yeah.
Actually, not related to the plot at all, but I do want to talk about it. I loved seeing his little like Ghostbusters mobile, you know, like the type
Yeah.
of car that he was driving. I was just like, that's so Holland. Like I miss seeing those things everywhere.
The vehicles were very like foreign to me. Like they were all so tiny.
Mhm.
Like he had the
Yeah.
tiniest little truck. It was just so cute.
Yeah. I think of the car and I think of that scene where he pulled up in front of the apartment building and then there was this van kind of parked out front and he went and looked
Right.
at it and there looked like there was nobody inside and he looked at the back and he turns around and all of a sudden the van turns on and drives away. Was that hinting at the fact that more things are like sentient and like more things are self-driving or
I did see a person in the driveway. Like it's very tinted glass, but I did see like the silhouette of a person in there. But it was kind of like a weird conspiracy element, and also like a slightly weird cut where he just like walks over there and he's kind of like peeking in, and like you don't see anybody at that time, and then it just speeds away after.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because they talked about how the chips like reproduce, and I was like, is it like reproducing and like getting in other things now?
That's what I was thinking, that it actually got into that previous lift operator's head, and then he was gonna like spread it or something like that.
Oh, that it got
That's
in
why
with
he went
him
insane.
personally.
Yeah, yeah. Like I thought, like that's why he went insane, was because like he was trying to fix something, got some goop in his eye, and then it like replicated, and then yeah, but it didn't come up.
I love the foreshadowing too when they're in the psych hospital and like the one guy throws pudding on the wall and you're supposed to know that like represents like the goo that we haven't talked about yet in the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I thought
thought
that
it
was
was
blood.
blood.
Like, yeah, that didn't even click for me.
Can I talk? I just want to briefly talk about some of the voice acting. So I couldn't find who did the voice over for Felix, but I think actually it was Felix himself, because Stubb actually speaks like perfect English apparently as well, and has dubbed his other movies. But I just want to call out the Felix's son, who sounds like a 35-year-old woman in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if either of you guys noticed that, but I was like, it kind of reminded me of Have you seen The Room, Jason?
No.
The Room is considered like the best worst movie of all time, Kelvin. There's this character in it called Denny, who's supposed to be like maybe a 14-year-old boy, and he's played by like a 30-year-old man. And nobody references it the whole time. It's really amazing.
I thought the coffee machine was also like, as soon as like he was getting coffee and it wasn't working, and I was like, oh no, the coffee machine.
Yeah, there's definitely
Just
like an element of paranoia in this that's really cool.
Yeah. And I think again, like the synths and like the background score and everything just adds to it, just makes you keep guessing, like, oh, where is it going next?
Yeah. Shout out to the son for his parents also saying he's not as dumb as you think he is, which is a great way to talk about your child.
Yeah.
And the wife then said back to him, "Oh, you."
I do wish there was a bit more explained, but I guess you kind of are supposed to get it. It's implied goop. It's implied, like, from the chip conversations, and it's like, okay, it's sentient. It understands things. It clearly, like, it played with the girl. When the blind guy was about to fall down, the apartment person came chasing after him because he forgot something, and then it, like, mysteriously, like, closes itself quickly and then opens back up for the blind guy. Like, there just wasn't enough explanation that you kind of leaves you wanting more, you know? Like, what's the sequel? What does it take over next?
I actually agree, and I think that's, again, goes back to, like, I think that they could have cut out some of like Felix's personal dramas to like focus on that a little bit more, like, because it was a compelling narrative. Like, the Rising Sun is such a like cryptic corporation, and they kind of got all this stuff going on. Like, they could have broken in there, like could have been a scene of them breaking in and like discovering more about what they're doing in there, something like that, and used like their time a little bit more effectively with that.
Maybe they could have showed like a map in that like room that was all red lights, and it could have had like elevators all over the world that
Yeah,
had been infected, or like different vehicles that they had implanted it in, and then they're like, oh no, we have to go at least kill this one or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think also because like there's like so many little narrative plots going on, and like little things that they're pulling you in directions. Like, for example, I think the conspiracy element was like exactly what you're saying, Kelvin. Like, I think they could have kind of focused more on that, because for example, like when he goes and sees his boss, and his boss is like, you're off the job and you're gonna take some time off, and I'm like, this is so quick. Like, no boss is gonna be like, after like you went to the elevator shaft like twice, and he's like, something's not right with you, man. Like, it just didn't feel like deserved. It was like kind of rushed, you know?
I will say for that part specifically, it was because another person died. The way I interpret it was like, okay, you don't know what you're doing. Another person's died now. Let's get somebody else on the job. Like, there's something not going well with you.
Well, he was trying to smooth it over, right? Because the Rising Sun and their elevator maintenance corp were like in cahoots with each other, and he was like, they make us so much money, we're such a good partnership, like, I don't want you looking into things too deep, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But again, it was just like, it just felt like it was too abrupt.
And maybe there could have been something where like there's a reason the elevator's killing everybody. Like, we get that it's evil, but like, is that enough reason? Like, maybe it could have been designed to be evil because they're making soap with the bodies, you know?
Yeah. Prequel to Fight Club.
Yeah.
This was the real prequel to Fight Club.
Prequels, sequels, and reboots.
Yes. So nothing direct other than, I guess, the remake of this, The Shaft, or what was the other name for it?
There was like Down or something.
Down, yeah. So it's
Down,
called both.
yeah.
Yeah, it's called The Shaft, or it's called Down. This is actually an interesting movie because you don't get to see very often a director to like reapproach and re-examine like their own movie with like a bigger budget. And he actually did have like some pretty notable people in this movie. So James Marshall and Naomi Watts starred in it. But Ron Perlman also makes an appearance in that as well.
No way.
Yeah, and not well received at all, even though they had a much bigger budget and it's kind of a Hollywood take on it. But I guess there's a commentary for that, and Dick Moss goes over a comparison of like what it's like to make a Hollywood movie being Dutch. So I'm sure they were all like, "Why haven't you spent all your budget yet?" And he was like,
I'm saving
Yeah.
it.
like I said, he had a really interesting career after this. Like, I kind of want to go and see like more Dick Mass movies. So,
Oh man, the wide theatrical release in the United States was canceled due to the 9/11 terrorist attacks.
really, for the Shaft.
Yeah, and coincidentally, there's a few references to terrorism in New York, getting as specific as mentioning plane hijackings and Osama bin Laden.
Wow,
What?
that's wild. You know what? That may
That's
be why
insane.
that movie was a little bit more hated at the time too, right? Like
Yeah,
the cultural impact and when a movie is released, like can definitely have an impact on like the critical interest in a movie. Like the most famous one is The Thing, obviously, but plenty of other.
Yeah, because The Shaft, it was actually in New York. That was.
I kind of want to watch it.
Yeah, so do I, honestly. So effects and filming, we've already talked about this being one of the first Dutch horror productions of all time. Also inspired by Jaws, I guess, and kind of doing like the less is more approach to the evil elevator, the evil shark. I shot this movie in 30 days on a very small budget. And like you said, Kelvin, like it was literally just like basically they had the shots of outside of the apartment building, and then they had like one floor of this apartment to film on, and they just kind of like changed the look of the apartment.
Right.
Yeah, Jason, did you and I do The Cube together? It's like very similar. There's a Canadian horror movie called Cube, Kelvin, and they did the exact same thing where they basically just took like one room, they filmed in it, but they just kept like doing different things with it. And it worked out really well. You and I weren't huge fans of it, Jason, but kind of has this like similar like low budget horror movie vibe.
Yeah, yeah. And just another shout out to another famous elevator is The Shining.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I really liked the shots of the three elevators. Like
Mhm.
the camera work was really well done.
Yeah.
Noticed the like those shots with the three elevators in view, and then also just like some of the random shots were really well done. Like the bowling alley scene. Pretty sure he like put the camera in where like a bowling ball return was or something like that. Like
Hmm.
the shots were really cool. They had really tiny beers there. Is that normal, Kelvin?
That's very normal. Everything's smaller.
Really?
Yeah.
So bizarre.
Is it because you all have really big hands and it makes you feel like giants?
Yeah, exactly. We like to feel big.
Yeah.
The Dutch do not need to feel any bigger.
Yeah.
No, yeah, everything is just smaller portions there, unless it's like a draft beer. Then you get like a nice big glass. But
Do you say giraffe?
yeah, a giraffe beer. No,
Okay.
draft.
What's wild is they didn't have any like stunt people for this movie, obviously. So the actor who had to get his head stuck in the elevator, like they actually had to get his head stuck in the elevator, and they filmed it in reverse. So they had the elevator like go up, and while they put his head into it, but they put a steel beam like across so that the elevator couldn't drop. But they were also just like, this may or may not stop an elevator. Like we don't know. We're just hoping for the best.
Put your head there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Here's
that's
50
insane.
bucks. That's as much as Dick's willing to spend on this scene.
I'll do it for 40.
As long as you throw in some pastries.
That's right.
Yeah.
Kelvin, did you notice the tobacco he was smoking?
Yes, I did. It made me think of you right away. Yeah, the Roland tobacco.
Yeah, he was drum, just a classic. I remember I started smoking that, and then your parents came over to my house that one time at the
Yep.
mansion, and your dad just like showed me up like how to roll cigarettes
Yeah.
in like the exact same way that Felix was.
I love
Yeah.
how he rolls it up to like right in the middle of like talking business with the other maintenance guy, like inside the building. Like that's old school, man. Smoking indoors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What a
it-
time to be alive.
The smoking definitely threw me out. Like, I don't watch a lot of old movies, and I was like, oh my god, he just smokes literally anywhere. Like, he would smoke in the elevator if he wanted to. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different time. It's wild.
Yeah, it was a little hard for me to watch some of those scenes.
That's also why that woman who was hooking up with the hotel manager looked like 50 years old when she had like a 4-year-old kid. So
Yeah,
true.
yeah. There was one scream that was like I couldn't tell if it was what's that scream called? I should know this. The Wilhelm scream. I think they did just like a really Dutch version of it for this. It was when the cleaning guy fell down, or no, he got
no, he
burned
got
alive.
pulled in.
Yeah, he got pulled in and was like mangled up and stuff. They
Yeah.
said he got burned though.
Well, it kind of like dragged him up, and I kind of would have liked to like have seen more of the burning in the elevator, like the cooking, you know? Like
Yeah, yeah.
when they open the elevator and don't show anything, I was like, "Ooh, that's really a good touch." But I think they could have left a quote in there of like all of the bodies were cooked by the time we opened the elevator up. You know what? As a side note, I almost think that at some point they could have had a kill where they just like somebody gets trapped in the elevator and it just goes to like a random floor because they say that like not all the like the floors have people in them, and it just sits there for like days until like the smell seeps in, and like nobody notices until like the smell is in there, and it's like this like the idea of like somebody being trapped in an elevator for days and days and days kind of thing. I thought that was one like missed opportunity.
That would have been cool, yeah.
So score of the movie, like we said, composed by synthesizers. So he had a Jupiter 8 and a Juno 60, and he just had them. He got to do them in one day. Like he made the score for this whole movie in one day.
Damn.
Very John
He must
Carpenter.
have had it. Yeah, he must have had it all in his head, like everything lined up then.
Yeah, I wish I was that talented. Honestly, like the creativity to like make a movie, but also like do the whole score of it is wild.
I really want to get a synth now.
you would just rock a synth hard,
Yeah.
like 100%.
That'd be so fun.
I do love how this movie poster is kind of like a knockoff of Poltergeist with like the little girl kind of like outside the elevator. It's really iconic, honestly.
Yeah, and again, kind of The Shining.
Yeah, that's the other thing is the bloody elevator other missed opportunity, like somebody get crushed in the elevator. That would have been wild.
Yeah. Crushed in the elevator?
Yeah, like somehow they get crushed in like the elevator shaft or something.
Yeah, like that's when he was on top of it. I was expecting it to just go up like at breakneck speed and actually break his neck.
Yeah,
or something like that. But
bigger budget could have done that.
Yeah.
So personal views and the partner factor. Kelvin, let's hear it. What do you think of this movie?
Personal views, I liked it. I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it. Overall I give it about a 5.5 out of 10. It was fine to watch. It was traumatizing as a child. It took me about 3-4 years to get over the trauma as a kid. Now that I'm over it, I feel stronger. So that's 5.5 is my rating. I enjoyed watching it. I'm glad we rewatched it. And my partner watched the first 20-30 minutes and lost focus. And I feel like if I wasn't really watching this to rewatch it and take it all in, I probably would have lost focus too.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Like in that second act when we get into all these plot details and less murder and
kind of a common theme that like we've tried to explain, and we tried like kind of why we do this podcast is like you have to get invested early on and be okay with what like get into the mindset of like this is an 80s movie with a low budget, like it's gonna be a little bit quirky and it's gonna be a little like there's gonna be some slow spots, but if the movie's good enough, you do get invested. So like as you watch this with like a different viewpoint, like trying to watch it for this podcast, do you think you would be able to replicate that again? Like let's say if you watch The Thing tomorrow, do you think you would be like, okay, I know I know how to watch this now?
Yeah, it's definitely like putting the intention behind watching it, where generally I'm like watching something because it's that show's job to entertain me, right? Where it's more looking at it through the lens of, okay, let's look at their creativity. Let's look at how they did it back in the 80s. Or like I definitely see how you can have that appreciation for older movies.
yeah, you have to approach the movie on its terms, right?
Or else you're not going to be entertained. Your goal is to be entertained. You kind of have to sometimes watch it like as it's meant to be watched. Like imagine seeing this in the theaters back in 83
without
in
a cell
Holland.
phone and without like all these other distractions around you.
Yeah.
As well, like movies back then, you have to have more focus to them because somehow movies like older movies are able to do a lot more in a lot less time. Like I find an hour and a half movies from like the 70s through 90s pack so much of a punch in them compared to like movies now that are like 2 hours and 15 minutes, and you can kind of like check out, look at your phone kind of thing. Like it kind of has that built-in like distraction period.
Either that or they just ramp up and ramp up and ramp up and like the whole like and you're like now it's just getting ridiculous, like Fast 27 or whatever. Like now they're crashing
in space.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like the simplicity and the attention to like get you invested in the movie is a little bit. It was required back then a little bit, and now it's just like, oh, let's just ramp it up.
Yeah, for me, this is like a 6 out of 10, pretty like easily. Like, and this is kind of perfect like score for a low budget horror movie. Like, if a low budget horror movie for me hits around that 6.5 out of 10, like to me that's just like peak spot of where it's going to be in. Like, that means I had a whole lot of fun with the kills. Like, the characters are zany and weird, and like some of the dialogue doesn't work, but I'm still having a good time with it. And I like that it kind of like, you know, again, an early like, this is what AI might look like, and like this biological crazy element to this elevator.
Yeah, for me, yeah, like about the same, like 6.5, somewhere in there. There's a lot of fun elements, a lot of the 80s stuff that I love. The 80s stuff gives it like a lot to me, like the nostalgia and everything. And the nostalgia that me and Kelvin already have, like this emotional connection to it from our childhood, that like maybe I'll put it at a 7 just for like the total enjoyment factor. If I was to show this to someone else who didn't watch it when they were 12, it would be tough to sell a little bit. There are redeeming factors, and like there's enough cool stuff that's still relevant that like I could put it in like a film course. Like if somebody's like, "Hey, I need like a really cool cult movie that nobody's seen," I could recommend this.
The litmus test to me is like, do you like low budget horror movies? And if you're on board with that, like if you're on board with like The Evil Dead, for example, then you're gonna have a good time with this movie. And that's basically it. And like somebody like me, I grew up like in my teenage years watching low budget horror movies that were on at like 9 o'clock at night. So for me, this is just like second nature to watch something like this. And despite all the imperfections, be like, I had a really good time with this one.
And there was boobs.
Yes. Yeah, okay. It was an 8 out of 10.
Those titties, they were a 9 out of 10, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's why we watched it, right?
Yeah, in our 30s. That was the main draw. On that note, I think that's it for the episode. Welcome to the podcast, Kelvin. It
was so much fun to be here. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Do you think you want to do some more?
I'll do some more. Just recommend more movies with boobs, and
yeah.
or movies that traumatized me as a child, and I'm in.
Wow, let me tell you that 80s movies, especially horror ones, are full of boobies. So we might have found the peak genre for Kelvin.
We found my niche.
That's great.
Have you seen Piranha?
No, but I will if it has piranha boobs.
Oh, baby. I think that's it for the pod before we say something else horrifying. That gets us canceled. As always, tell your dad, and we'll see you next time. Make sure Jake knows about this.